Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Before I get into my message, I want to say that I'm extremely tired this morning. And I've realized that. I'm extremely tired. So I ask for your prayer for strength on this morning. I also want to let you know that Sheridan over here has just become a new partner of the vision here at the church. We have had 5 people that have become a partner of the vision in our church, and we want to give God thanks for that. I wanted to introduce him just in case you did not know him. 2 men were marooned on an island. One man paced back and forth, worried and scared, while the other man sat back and was sunning himself. The first man said to the second man, "Aren't you afraid we are about to die?" "No," said the second man. "I make $10,000 a week and tithe faithfully to my church every week. It's stewardship month at my church. I know my pastor's going to find me." I have been sharing for the last 3 Sundays that October is Stewardship Month here at NSCC. Stewardship Month is a time when we evaluate where we've been, where we are right now, and where we want to go in the coming year, and how we plan to get there. I've shared with you that stewardship has to do with the giving of our time, talents, and money. The title of our series this month has been Activate. On week 1, I encouraged you to activate your giving to the next level. And our focus word was partnership, a joining together, having joint responsibility. On week 2, I encouraged you to activate your service to the next week. In service, you help and supply a need for someone. I shared with you that partnership and service here at NSCC both mean to become a part of what God is doing. I also shared with you that partnership and service here at NSCC both mean doing the work of the kingdom together. We have discovered that there are 3 ways to become a part of what God is doing here at NSCC. 1 is giving financially to support the ministries and programs of the church and to maintain the grounds and property of the church. 2 is by serving, to become engaged and involved and participate in the ministries and programs of the church. And number 3 is by inviting. We discovered on last week that we have been commissioned by God to go and make disciples. And we cannot make disciples if we don't invite. I have been saying for the last 3 weeks, it's impossible to say you love your church and not give. I've been saying it's impossible to say that you love your church and not serve. It's impossible to say that you love your church and not invite. So here we are on week 4 of Stewardship Sunday. Today is the day that we choose to activate. Today is the day that we choose to go to the next level in our giving. Today is the day that we choose to go to the next level in our service, and today is the day that we choose to go to the next level in inviting others to come and be with us here at NSCC in order to hear the gospel and in order to grow our church. Today is the day. For today is Stewardship Sunday. Today's focus word is heart. Is heart. Let's listen to a stewardship testimony from the heart. Waleska.
Good morning. So I'm not going to stand here and tell you why you have to give, but I want to share exactly that. 2 testimonies, 2 separate stories, 2 different contexts. So as a little girl, when I was 8 years old, my dad was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver. We were okay. We weren't a rich family. We were doing okay, but at that moment, with this terminal disease, he had to sell the business. And all of a sudden, a family of 4, my mom had to rely on Social Security. It was only $800 a month for a family of 4. That was all she had. She did all she could, and she was very resourceful. But I can remember at being 8 years old, my mom would get that check, she would pay her bills, but faithfully at the beginning of the month, we came from a Pentecostal church with a culture of tithing. Her tithing was the first check that she would do. She would write that check and she would give that to the church. Didn't matter. She didn't know how she was going to make ends meet, but she would do that check and write it. So I saw that by example. By the time I was in 6th grade, so already 3 years had gone by, I was in a private school, in Wesleyan Academy, and she tells me, I don't think I can continue paying the money I pay for the school, so you're going to have to come and go to private school. I'm going to have to take you out of. And my 6th grade teacher, who had the worst reputation of being the meanest teacher in elementary school, somehow God touched her heart, and she went to the board and she said, this is what's happening to this family. We need to step up and do something for this little girl. They called my mom and they said, keep her in the school. Pay whatever you can, whatever month you can. Just keep her in the school. And I graduated from Wesleyan Academy. And I give thanks because that was how I learned my English. That prepared me to the life that God was going to have for me later on here in the mainland, right? So that was the first thing that as a little girl, I started to see God's faithfulness, that whatever we gave to God, we won't be missing. And I'm not talking about bargaining with God. God, I'll give you this if you give me that. No, no, no. That wasn't what my mom was doing. My mom knew that this belonged to God, and she would find a way to supply for the rest. So now, picture this, 1999, I'm married to a professional athlete who gets an 8-year contract for pretty good money. I come from that background of tithing. He did not. We started to go to a little church in Mount Kisco. It was a predominantly Hispanic church, had many needs, and I started feeling in my heart, we have to tithe. But we're talking a lot of money. 10% is a lot of money of what he was making, right? He did not come from the culture of tithing. He's like, no way I'm going to give 10%. And I looked at him and I said, well, we've talked about this marriage being 50-50. So let's say this. From my 50%, I'm going to give 10%. Is that okay? Somehow he said, okay, that's fine. And that's what we started to do. We started giving 10% from my 50%. It was an 8-year contract. By the 5th year, I remember specifically, we were sitting down with our investment banker. And he looked at us and he said, you know, I'm very confused because of all my clients. You guys are the ones that give more than what you use for living. And somehow, if you wanted to retire tomorrow, you can still maintain the lifestyle that you have reached. So you could retire tomorrow. You don't have to play the 8 years, even though he did. But you have saved enough, and we had been giving more than what we were using. And so this was one example of giving when you don't have enough. And sometimes it's even harder when you have plenty, because we always want more. And we always keep worrying, but what about retirement? What about? And I never, in either case, it was a matter of bargaining with God, but it was a matter of then seeing God's faithfulness when we are faithful with what He gives us. God bless you.
Today's focus word is heart. Our passage of scripture this morning reveals, if you want to know where someone's heart is, follow their money trail, because people will invest in where their heart is. People will invest their time and service in where their heart is. People will invest their talents in where their heart is. People will tell others what they're excited about based on where their heart is. Now, many people will say, it's my money. It's my time. It's my talents. And where I choose to invest them has nothing to do with me spiritually or my relationship with God. But scripturally, that is not so. It has everything to do with your spirituality and your relationship with God. For the text says, where your treasure is where your heart is. The giving of our money, time, and talents, you see, is a God issue. And because it's a God issue, it's a heart issue. The question that we must ask ourselves this morning is, where is your heart? Where is our heart? Is your heart invested in the vision, mission, and future life of this church? If it is, you will activate your giving. If it is, you will activate your service. If it is, you will activate your inviting. If it is, you will choose to activate. And stewardship, you see, is a heart thing. It's a heart thing. Well, Leska just shared from her heart what God did for her family when they didn't have enough and when they had plenty. Stewardship is a God issue. Therefore, it's a heart issue. So the question we have to ask, each and every one of us have to ask it for ourselves. Where's our heart? Where's our heart? Before we leave on today, I wanted to take the offering at the end because it's Stewardship Sunday. And it's my prayer that if you have not already activated your giving on this for the next year, I pray that you activate it now. You can simply fill out a card, and then you can just fold it and put it in the offering basket, and then the financial ministry will put it where it goes. And that will help them to know how we can set our budget for 2019. Has it been tough? At NSCC, our moderator? Yeah, it's been really tough. It's been a struggle. And that's just honest. We have had a snowball effect here at our church, where one thing happened, another thing happened, another thing happened, another thing happened, and we had to take care of it. I think I shared with you, I did a wedding one Saturday, and I had just finished the wedding, and we were walking outside, and the bridal party was on our porch, and somebody came running in and said, "Pastor, the porch just went down." I said, "What do you mean? The bridal party is on there." One side came apart from the church, and the bridal party was standing there, and they went like this. Thank God they didn't fall back. But that was a problem. There were some other problems. We had flooding over in our stone house. We had to get that fixed. So yeah, it's been tough. It's been a struggle. Our church was just peeling in the front. One person came in for a wedding that I was doing, and it was the father of the bride. And he said, "Wow, thanks for painting the church on our behalf." And I brought that back to the council, and I was like, "Eeh." So now the church is being painted. The lights went out. The lights went out. Ingrid went up and fixed lights, Ingrid, and put all the lights in, and this light right here just busted, and we had to have someone come in and fix it, go up there, electrician or something he did, and go up there. This light went out. The fixture had to be changed. It wasn't just the bulb, the fixture had to be changed. The light in the front of our church died. A new transformer had to be put in. A new light had to be put in. The timer died. One thing after the other. It's been tough. But here we are as a family. Here we are as a family. And we need to set our budget for 2019. Is it going to be tough in 2019? Mm-hmm. But we can do it together. Because I believe God. I believe God. God is a provider. So I asked this morning, well, could you get the plates are back there? I asked this morning that you would ask yourself, where's your heart? And if you have not already filled out the pledge card, I encourage you to fill it out this morning. Or I encourage you to drop it off in the office. I encourage you to give not just your money, but to give your time and to give your talents. Let us give at this time.